Hi, welcome everyone. I'm Shulita, like Sarah introduced, and I'm a software engineer at Solution Street. And along the line, during one of my projects, I've learned Tableau, I've used it, I loved it, and here I am doing a presentation for you guys. So Tableau is a reporting and analytics software that would help you build powerful visualizations that you can use and then make good decisions for your company. And why would you want visualizations? Our brain is wired in such a way that it would take in information faster if you saw something. As long as they've been writing, they've also been drawing pictures. The ancient Chinese, they drew pictures, maps of stars and constellations, and that's how they are geared to take in information. And Tableau is one of the best tools that I've encountered so far that would help you build visualizations, charts, maps, graphs, etc., and distribute it, share it with your company, and then get greater insights into the data that you're looking at. So if building powerful visualizations is your end goal, then what you need is data, of course, and then the right tools to build these visualizations, and of course, a means to share and then deliberate on the results. And Tableau comes with two parts: Tableau Desktop, which will help you build your visualizations, and then there's Tableau Server that would host all these visualizations, and then it would also enable you to share it with people among your organization. So I have Tableau Desktop, and then there's different flavors to the Tableau Server. There's Tableau Online, there's Tableau Public, and then there's Tableau Server. Tableau Server is something that you would install on premises and then just use it within your organization. And then there's Tableau Online, which is nothing but Tableau Server in the cloud. And then there's Tableau Public, where it's available for everybody, but beware that your visualizations will be accessible to other people. And if it's sensitive information, you wouldn't want to go with Tableau Public. So this is Tableau Desktop. If you open it, you would be here at the start pane. And then here you would connect to various data sources. And these data sources could be anything starting from a flat file, JSON file, Excel file, and then you could graduate to a more complex data sources like Tableau servers, and then relational databases, SQL Server, Oracle, MySQL, and then there's Salesforce and many other data warehouses and databases. And then this part is where you can save your data where you can see the saved data sources that you've already used before. So I'm not going to use any sensitive data that my company and my project uses, so I'm just going to go with a file, an Excel file that came with Tableau. So this is a Superstore, global Superstore file, wherein there's order dates, shipment dates, and then the kind of products that you would buy, and then what the sales are and profit information is. So there's, just like an Excel sheet, just like how an Excel workbook would have sheets, these sheets would each behave like a relational table in a relational database. So all you have to do is, here's the canvas, and then here are the sheets that your workbook has. You could drag and drop them in here, and then you could use it. So as you drag and drop it, it would load the data for you, and then you can take a look at what the data is. So there's two types of connections. You could go live, as in you could just have the connection live, and whatever data your visualizations use, that would be live, in the sense that it would be the most current data. If there's any refreshes or updates that happen on the data, then you could see that reflected on your visualizations. If your database is a high-performing database, and if it's getting updated on a frequent basis, then it makes sense for you to go live. Otherwise, you could use an extract. If it's putting strain on your database, and your database is very slow, then it always makes sense to go for an extract, wherein the data, Tableau takes a snapshot of the data that you have right then, and then it would import it into its fast data engine. And at that point, it's static. And if the data outside of Tableau refreshes, then you won't have that most current data with you. So your visualizations will work off of the snapshot. So let's go with, and then Tableau Server provides you a way to schedule periodical refreshes on this data, so that you could, so that your data is not too far behind the most current data. So let's go with live, and then here you will see the data that's in that sheet, and if you click, and this pound sign indicates that it's a numeric data, and then ABC would be the string data. String data. And you could change the data type of that particular column by clicking on this, and then if you think that that should actually be string data, then you could just map it to string like that. Let's undo that for now. And then whatever preparation of data steps that you do here would not change or update the underlying data. This all is within Tableau. And then you could sometimes see data like this, which is a combination of data, and you could perform simple preparation of data, like you could split it in a way that you could just take the first two characters, which is represented, which is a representation of the state. Or you could just custom split and then use the separator and then just take the first column like that. So that would be the state. And if you clicked on this, it would give you information about, this is metadata, information about the data, what columns you've used, and what type of column each of those columns are. And then if you dragged another sheet onto the canvas, then Tableau would by default do a join if there is a common column. And you could just go and update the kind of join that is. It could be an inner join. You could change it to a left outer join or right outer join or full outer join. So I'm just gonna, if you don't want this, then all you do is simply drag it out of the canvas. And this Tableau logo would help you switch between these two views, the data view and then the sheet view. And this is the Tableau view. And you see dimensions on the left-hand side and measures on the data pane. So Tableau by default identifies data as dimensions and measures. So all numeric data by default is a measure. Measure is quantitative data that you could run your analysis on. And dimensions are discrete categorical data which has a finite set of values. And measures are continuous data that could potentially have infinite set of values. And the analytics pane is where you could do complex analytics on the data. And then each of these would be enabled when the data that you're analyzing qualifies for it. And we have the columns and rows shelves here. If you want to analyze any data, all you have to do is pull, drag, and drop these into the appropriate shelf, the column shelf or the row shelf. And this is the view pane. And these are the axes and filters. The filters pane is where you could filter your data on. Whatever filters you've used would appear in that pane. And these are sheets, just like how you have the sheets in your workbook. In an Excel workbook, you could create many sheets. And of course, build a dashboard, which is a combination of these sheets. And then there is stories also that we could build, which is a progression of how you've arrived at a certain point in your analysis. Let's go ahead and build.
So you said like you can run analytics, right?
Right.
So when you have the analytics part ready, can you save it and extend it to some other report?
What do you mean by extend?
Okay. And so let's say I want to do sales data.
Right.
I have the analytics already there.
Right.
So that's the schema, whatever the logic. You say you can save it and extend it to another kind of report. You see what I'm saying?
And that you have the result of the output of the analytics, you're going to use it for something else.
So you're saying that you'll build your visualization and then you will change the data underneath it.
No, he's saying like output your visualization from here to some other site or portal.
Yes, you could do that. So that's where your Tableau Server comes into picture. So you build your data visualization, and then you export it, or you publish it to the server, and from the server, I mean, if you have the proper links, then you could distribute that to people, and then they could take a look at it. Or you could use it in your application. You could embed them in your application. We'll get to that in a little bit. So there's many ways for you to build these visualizations. I could, for instance, say drag sales onto the rows, shelf. Okay. And if you don't want that particular measure there, you could simply drag it out of the shelf and then it's gone. Or I could just simply double click and then achieve the same result. And this is the, by default, Tableau aggregates the sales and then displays it on the visualization pane. So if you want to see how sales are doing for different categories, then you could drag category and then place it on the columns shelf. And then you would see that the furniture is doing somewhat okay, and office supplies is not doing all that okay, and technology is doing super well. And there is a subcategory too within category, so you could drag and drop this underneath that, and then you will see a further drill down into how each of the categories or subcategories is doing. And you could flip the axes so you could see horizontally or vertically. And at any given point, if you want to clear the pane, you just do this. And if you want to say, and these are marks, so you could put measures or dimensions onto, drag and drop them onto the color, size, or labels, and then get more insight into the details of your visualization. I could now get the ship mode onto color. And then I would see that, okay, my bookcases have, this is the sales data, and then say about 917,000 of my bookcases were shipped using the standard class. So this is a simple bar chart, and then you could do tooltips wherein you would see profit information. If you want profit information to be shown as a tooltip, then you could drag and drop that, and then you would see that. Otherwise, because of the category, subcategory, sum of sales being present on the axis, you would see that information anyway. But if you want to drag and drop something else and see, then you could just simply bring that over the tool top card. And you could also edit this and then see that this could be the average of sales and not the sum of sales. And maybe you don't want to see this information because it's already there in the legend. And then say OK. And then you would see just the profit and sales. Average. That is I wonder why average doesn't work. Let's switch back to sum. Okay, so you could name this sales and sales. And then let's do another sheet. Say if you want to see what the profit is like over a period of over the years, then you could just drag in order date in there, and then say profit to rows. And then you would see that, okay, the profit has been steadily increasing over the years. And if you want a breakdown, and year is a hierarchical field. So it has information about the year. If you drilled down into it, then it would give you a visualization that is by year, by quarter. And then if you further drilled into it, then it would also give you, it would go to the month level. But if this is too much information to consume in one go, so let's just stick to the year and quarter. And then if you wanted to see different quarters doing, how the profits are doing in the same quarter overlapped across years, then what you could do is bring quarter to color, and then you would see it this way. And then automatically, when you drag something onto one of these marks, there would be a legend indicating what the size or shape or color it is. And then here you have the kind of chart that you selected here is automatic, but then you could go for an area chart like this or a bar chart. Whatever is appropriate is displayed in this drop down. Questions so far?
For the columns and rows, right now we are just dragging and dropping. Can I do more complex items there where I have some probably like formula or?
Yes. What you could do is you could calculate new fields. If you have a formula, what you can do is you could say create a calculated field, and here I might go with maybe date difference of the order date. So that would be date difference, and then order date. I could drag and drop here too, so I could just say order date, and then there would be an end date. So that would be the ship date. Date. So the date part. So it could be. Okay. And then if I apply that,
So we have it's like a
so
language.
what's that?
There is a language in which specific to Tableau where
Right. Yeah. And then this is, I could have named it differently, but it gets under the measures pane, and then you could use this as if you would any other field, and then you could drag this and then put this there.
Is it possible to, once you create one of these calculated fields, say they're back so others can use it in their?
So the way you would do it, the underlying data, the Excel sheet would not be modified. So what you could do is you could save this data as a data source and then publish it to your Tableau server, and then people who want to use it could use it by downloading it from the Tableau server. And then, yeah, and then if there's other sheets or other workbooks that you have, what you can do is you could again open them and then bring this data set over, data source over, and then say replace my existing data source with this new data source. Because the underlying data is all the same except for you are bringing some new calculations and maybe some parameters and sets, that extra information would be available to you.
So if another user who's done that, saves the data set, a user comes in, you're looking at it, does it recalculate it then, or is it basically save the calculated value and they just see it?
Whatever you have saved is what they get. And if you want something additional, then you create them in your data set, make another copy, and then publish it to the to Tableau Server. And then
One question. So all these dimensions, are they from one single table right now? One sheet?
yes,
Can you join two sheets?
Yes. So that's what I did initially when I dragged another sheet from the Excel workbook, and then it did an inner join.
Okay.
Yeah, you could do that.
If I had data that's changing all the time,
Right.
do I have to keep uploading files to Tableau Server, or can I have it talk to like a data warehouse or other sorts and update automatically?
So you could have a live connection wherein the data is constantly getting updated, and then that is also getting updated on your Tableau server. But if you don't want that, if it's putting a strain on your database, then what you could do is you could use an extract. And if you think that, okay, once a week refresh is fine, then you could set it up in a way that the data extract gets refreshed every Saturday night or Sunday night, something like that. Yeah, it again depends on your needs and what you are working with. If your data is changing constantly, then it makes sense to use a live connection.
Is it an incremental update?
What is?
If you set it on extract
Mm-hmm.
and set the frequency of every 9,
Yes.
is it an incremental update or the whole refresh of it?
You could set it up whatever you want. It could be an incremental update. It could be the whole update.
And it figures out by itself?
Yes.
What they
Yes. Yes.
What are the data constraints on that extract? Like, is there a size constraint that the Tableau server will only allow you to hold in that fast memory storage?
I'm not sure about how much data it can hold in its engine. It again depends on how much memory you allocate to your Tableau server when you install it.
Okay, so it's all active RAM. for
Right.
that. Okay.
Yeah. Yes, there is a cost associated to it. I'm not sure about the cost. It depends on the needs of your organization, how extensively you would be using it, and things like that. Right.
They want to charge you by CPU, number of users.
Yeah.
When it does the join these two data sets, does it do that in memory, or can it also push that to, those are two different database tables, so we have a database in join?
Yes. So Tableau, with the new version, the old version did not have a cross-database join. So with the new version, the version that we are currently on is 10.2. With that, you could get cross-database sources, and then you could join them.
So does the join happen in Tableau, or does the join happen in the database?
The join happens in the database in Tableau. It'll save that connection information, and then if you set it to live, so every time you're loading that visualization, it does it. It does a cross database join, brings in the information, and then builds the visualization. Okay, and then you could also build, say, pie charts. The way you build pie charts is you could just drag sales and then subcategories maybe. And then now this is a bar chart by default. But there is this neat little trick here where you click on Show Me, and then you could, the ones that are appropriate for the data that you've selected would be highlighted for you, so you can select them. I'm going to go with a pie chart. And the size of the pie chart is small, that I would want to make it big. And then maybe I want to drag sales information onto the tooltip. And then if I hovered over it, I would get that. Instead, I could just do sales onto text, no, detail. And then not the detail, but labels, sorry. If I did that, then it would show the labels and also the categories if I did subcategory. But then and by clicking on Show Me here, you could just collapse it, and then you would see there's a legend for subcategory anyway. Otherwise, you could also make it display on the pie chart itself. And then the sum of sales. Okay, so that's the pie chart that you could work with, and you could embellish with more layout, formatting, display of stuff, labels, details, etc.
Can we add more filters?
Yes, we could. So on this chart that I have, so there is, so let me drag order date to filters. And then when I drag this, so the range of dates, I do this. When I drag it to the filters pane, it automatically doesn't apply to the view, or it does not even appear on the view. So for that to happen, you can just say, click on this and say show filter, and then it shows here. And you could have discrete values instead of range of dates. So if it's a range of dates, then you have the slider, wherein you would be pulling information to start and end dates. And then you could also maybe drag segment over the filters and then use all of those values, because these are the 3 discrete values that we have for segment, and show the filter there. And if you say selected just the consumer, then you would see consumer data between these 2 dates. So these are the 2 filters that we've applied. And then we could apply this filter to other worksheets that are all using this data source. And then if it's relevant enough, then we would see that.
You apply those filters at the data source level so that it's not any exposed data on here?
Yes, you could do that. You could apply it at the data source level, and say supposing and then there's one thing that I forgot to touch upon. So when you're at the data source level, when you're bringing in these data sources, you could write your custom SQL here and then filter the data out there. So you're only looking at relevant data that you want to.
So you can hide views you don't want them interactive or...
Yes. Yeah. And then over here, I could just say hide this card. And I could say hide this filter too. Hide the card. If I do that, then that filter is hidden, and it's not displayed to the user, so he would see the data as a whole. And there is other types of, so if you're at a loss as to deciding whether one type of chart is better than another for the kind of data that you're viewing, then you could just select the measures and dimensions that you want to see, and click on Show Me. It will suggest the appropriate views that you can go with. And then maybe I'll go with this, but then that's too many customers, so I just get rid of that. And then maybe drag category into it instead of the product name. And there's these 3 things. And if I drag sales onto color, then I would see that there is a slow gradient of color with value. So I could go change that with edit colors here, and then I could change it to just red, black, diverging, and then I could just say I just need it in steps of 5. And then I would see it this way.
Can you automate any reports, like every nightly report, I need some people to send the reports nightly? Can you automate?
So it would send out reports?
Yes, and you basically the filter has been set out, and it says people every nightly you can send reports to.
I haven't done that, but I'm sure there must be a way to send those, because I know you can favorite stuff and then it alerts you when something changes there. In the same way, I'm pretty sure that you could just automatically send updates daily or nightly.
So what we are doing right now is like you are using Tableau Desktop or something, right?
Right, Tableau Desktop.
As a Tableau designer or user, you are basically defining reports.
Right.
But and then basically you will upload it to server, and then
yes.
The end users or business users will use the server reports or something and manually do the reports or something like that.
So I have this. Let me save this to let's just test. I saved this Tableau workbook, on my local machine. And now I have this, I have a local server running too, Tableau Server. So I'm already signed into it. Let me publish the workbook. So this is the project. So your Tableau server could have many sites. So the reason you would have many sites is if you are using, if there's many organizations and you want to just localize people or these organizations to just limit them to one site, you would create one site for each organization. And then within each site, it's just like, these projects are just like folders wherein you would organize your content. So my project just now is a demo, and then I'll upload this. And then you could also do tags wherein if there's too many visualizations and if you want to find one, get to it quickly, then you could just put that tag there, and then it'll bring it up for you.
So it is in TWB format, I saw that.
Yeah, TWB is Tableau Workbook.
Is it like XML, you can open and see what's in there?
No, you'll have to have Tableau Desktop to open it.
Okay.
Can you compare to analytics?
Two workbooks, as if you would compare two text files.
Two TWBs.
Compare? I'm not sure.
Like,
I don't think you would be able to do that.
because so typically what would happen is I had one workbook today, one analytic today.
Okay.
TWB.
Mm-hmm.
After 6 months, I have something else. So I would want to compare what I did really change. So then you would want to compare like what the change was.
So what the change was from the previous one?
Yes.
You mean
I'm not sure about that.
Yes.
like for example, if you
Right
put
now,
it
what
in,
you are publishing is probably just the report. Because data set, you mean, it's like you make it live and you're connecting to a data source. What you're publishing is this report, this output. The output
Yeah,
of
the
that.
analytics.
Not even and if it's live, it's connecting to this, whenever you hit the server, it will at that time connect to the data source and give you. So like if you connect it after 5 minutes, it will bring that
no,
data
but
from that.
it is the definition, right? It is in the definition of.
So he wants to see what is different between the two visualizations.
So if I
If it's
Git or SPN or something, source control, can I compare two versions over the period of time or something?
Two versions of what?
This TWB file definition, like.
I'm not aware of. As far as I know, I don't think you would be able to compare two TWB files as you would two text files, but you could just load them up and then see what the differences are.
And so from the source control point of view, if your desktop version is gone, then it's gone, like in your local file.
So if there is a different version of Tableau Workbook that you are trying to open in another version of Tableau Desktop, then it will either complain saying that you cannot open it, or I've made some changes to that workbook so it coexists with this version. So there is a slight chance that you might lose some formatting, some changes. So you would upload this, and then, so you could also grant permissions right here for the various users and various user groups that you have on your site. And right now I don't have any, I'm the only user there. And then I publish it. And then you can also cherry pick the sheets and workbooks, the dashboard, the stories that you want to publish. So each of these worksheets could be independently published. So that has been published. And if I see, demo is my project, and these are all the workbooks that I've published previously. And then test is the one that I published just now.
Does the Tableau server maintain a version history of the workbooks that you've uploaded?
I think you have a way to, get to history.
Right.
I've not used it though.
If you needed to roll it back to a previous version, does it support that?
I guess, but I'm not totally sure.
Okay.
When you actually publish this workbook,
Mhm.
now, did it take the data also along with it?
No, it doesn't take the data. So you could embed the data, the extract, within your workbook, and that way the extract is also uploaded, and then you would see the data source there. And then you could schedule it for periodical updates. But you could, if you just uploaded the workbook, then every time you load the workbook, it would make a connection to the underlying data and grab it.
But it does keep the data, it does incorporate the data source, right? So the schema that.
Yes, the data connection, information about the data connection is there.
That's the second tab.
Yes, that's the data source.
So basically, in your local, you'll work based on your local data or whatever temple data you have. You publish it to server and then you talk to the actual data server.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. And then you have the data source that is being used, and then this is the orders sheet from this workbook that we are using that's powering the visualizations here. And then if you clicked on, if you see the icon of a single sheet would indicate that it's just a independent, that's a worksheet. If you saw a stacked icon, then that would mean it's a workbook. And then if you want to share it, you could take this code, the embed code, which you could embed in your, say, HTML file or in your application, in your view file, and then have it display on your application. And this is just a link that you could just email it to somebody, and then they would just load it up on the browser.
Does it just export, when you do that, what loads into your web page? Does it just load a, is it scalable with your graphics, or is it an image, or?
It's not an image.
Okay.
It's, I'm not sure what the underlying graphics is, but it's definitely not an image, because you can interact with it. You could, again, depending on the permissions that you have, you could edit it right here, or if there's filters, interactive filters, then you could play with it, and then you could see that the visualization is updated.
Right, so you're actually interacting with the.
Yeah, with the server. Yeah.
Okay. So you can click over the bar graph.
Yes.
And on the pie charts.
Yeah, if I did this now, this is all live.
So this whole thing runs off of snapshots, right?
Snapshots if it's a data extract.
Okay.
Otherwise, it's not. Otherwise, it's just live.
Okay.
The traditional application here, you have your database, we have some business logic. So you would connect Tableau Server, the designer, up to your cloud database, potentially. And you create these visualizations. And then you would export the file that you did to the server that you would generate from. So now, as your schema evolves, you have to, that's tied to these visualizations.
Right.
The data source is tied. How do you, in traditional development, know that those are tied together so that you change your schema, you get to go back and change your visualization or your data source?
You probably would keep track of it. I mean, Tableau doesn't tie into your relational database in a way that whenever something there changes, Tableau somehow proactively does something at its end. That's not how it works.
Right.
So you'll have to be on top of it.
So when you, the code that's committed, this code committed with other code, when you, this visualization or whatever the file, is that committed in a repository the same way you would commit other code?
So this is a repository.
Right.
And then if it's live data, and if your schema changes, then it's your responsibility to go and update the corresponding visualizations that are working off of that schema. Yeah, yeah.
No, I think what he's trying to get is, like, when you write a Java code to do some work, right, in a regular application, maintain a version of it.
Right.
You tested this code with some database schema, and you tested, you approved, and then you put it in production. That's version 1. And if you change the Java code, or if your database changes, you need to get that old version, modify the code, check it, test it out, and create a new version.
Right.
So is there a way to do that in Tableau? Because you're creating a wave file, some file, right? Is it possible to, version control that file? That's what I got 2-3 questions coming after that. How do you maintain those?
I'm not sure. Definitely, you can go back and view history, I would think, but I haven't explored that. But I don't think you can version control these workbooks.
You can externally engineer. If there is a PWD file on the
right, PWD file, you can check it in, and that's your code, basically. Yeah. You will maintain that version.
Right.
You test it with that database version. When the database version changes, you will change your version.
Yeah, you would download that. You would download that, make your changes, make it work, test it, and then upload it. And then when you publish it, if you retain the name of the file, then it just overwrites the existing file.
So you can import a TWB from your file?
Yes, you can.
You can,
so
it is there on a file system?
Yes. So using this, you could download it. So if somebody wants to work off of this, make changes to this, then they could just download it, make changes on their Tableau desktop, and then upload it as a new file or overwrite the existing file.
You said that the link can be emailed, right?
Right.
That's within the organization, right? If it goes outside, they don't have access to the data.
Yeah, if they don't have access to the server, then no, they can't view the visualization.
You create a web page, public web page, embed the link in there, and the user clicks on it, and then control it.
Right.
Oh, sorry.
If your data source is database,
Right.
if there is a structure change to the table, the data source you're using, do you need a remapping in Tableau or Tableau automatically?
If your visualization is affected by that extra column that you've added or modified, then yes.
Even if the size is modified, then
The size?
suppose a 16 character field changes to 20 character field.
If it's a live connection, then if it can work, it'll work. In the sense that if you've changed the size of a string column, then it probably most likely will work.
Because yeah, we didn't see anywhere you mentioning
The metadata about the size, yeah.
So it's figured it out. Yeah, it looks at the data and then
It's just bringing in the data.
Yes.
In your typical client, any of your clients, do you have a QA and dev server where you try out stuff, or do you have local and then the production?
No, we have servers on every environment.
Okay, so you can test out different
Yes.
schema changes there, QA, test.
Right.
Yes, so
Yeah.
standard SQL.
So when you go to from that, like the QA gets to change connections, or is that the server has the connections?
So you could have that connection information in a config file, and then you could just move these. When you test it on your QE server, then you just automatically move these workbooks over to the next environment. Yep. Yeah.
So for these reports, can we have exact like inputs from the user at the time before you show the visualization, like
Dashboarding.
this whole thing, yeah, it could be like for different regions or different
Right.
countries or something.
Yeah.
Or different.
Yeah, can we have interactive reports where we ask input from the user and then show the chart or?
Yes. So filters for the most part would do that for you. So if you've established filters, and then you could just, the visualization is interactive, you could select whatever you want the visualization to reflect, and then that would reflect. That's one way of doing it. And then there's another way wherein you embed your visualization in the application, and then you have the rest of the application interacting with the visualization. So Tableau provides a JavaScript API that would let you do that. So I have, so here is where I've embedded, it's just plain HTML, and I've embedded one of my visualizations here. So I would see this. This is fine. And there is another visualization that I have that has filters, okay, that has filters here. But these filters are internal to the Tableau visualization. So if I change something, it reflects it. It again is actively getting information from the server and updating your view. And then there is something where I have my visualization here and my filter right here that's external to the visualization that would interact with my, if I selected furniture, it would update it here. And then just like that is external, here, if say I just selected furniture, it's exactly the same.
Visualizations are shown for each user. So like when each user
Right.
has to log in to
Mhm.
the server, so they will have their own session.
What do
On
you,
the Tableau server,
on the Tableau server, yes, you have your own session.
everyone has to have an account with Tableau server.
So if you have users
Yeah.
in your organization, and then each of them has to have access to these visualizations, then yes, they need to have an account. And then most times they would just go by the Active Directory. They have their user ID password associated with the network, and the same thing would be used by Tableau. So if you you can use the same credentials to log in and then view these visualizations.
Each user is considered as one license.
Yes, but yes. I'm not sure about how the licensing thing works, but yeah.
So my reason for my asking was, this is the same visualization where it's for different countries, but each user should see only their country.
Yes. So what you
How
could
do I do that kind of?
so you could build.
How do I-
So that depends on the user and his permissions, his access to a particular region. So that would be established on the Tableau server. So with you create users and then you give them permissions and then you allocate regions to them. And then when Tableau sees that you are this user, then it automatically updates and refreshes that view with whatever that user is permitted to see. Yeah, you can use users as filters, yes.
So you said, the samples you showed is a flat, two-dimensional file, right?
Right.
Can we do, that's a structured data.
Right.
Can we do non-structured data?
Yeah, you could do non-structured data too, like cubes, OLAP services and cubes. But the problem with that is you could do them, but then you won't. When in the data source pane, you would see data like this if it's relational database or just a flat file. But then when you are loading up cubes, you wouldn't see data. You would just see metadata.
Okay. Either Tableau provides some tools. So say, for example, I want to display the log files. Log files have all sorts of stuff, right? You should filter out the records you're interested in. And also, there could be some delimiters embedded in the file. You should cut and get what you want, prepare the data, then visualize, right?
Right. There is limitations to how much data preparation you can do within Tableau. If that's the kind of preparation that you need to do, wherein you have to, strip off the delimiters, and then, if there's a large string, then you only consider the first 5 characters and things like that, then you'll have to do it outside of Tableau to an extent, and then give it to Tableau, and Tableau will take over from there.
So you said, you can deploy the server, you can give access to the user, to the server directly. Users are, you're a big organization, there are hundreds and hundreds of users are coming in. Can you scale servers? One server will not meet everybody's requirement, right? Can you have, cluster of servers, or can you scale based on the demand?
Yes, you could definitely cluster Tableau servers. I haven't done that though.
Okay.
I don't want to slow down more, but one question. From the permission point of view, for the end user permission, how much final permissions we can have? Can we have permissions for end users, allowing them just to change filters but not editing column and doing public stuff?
So this is my server, and then these are my users, and then I could go permissions, status, I think. I can't do groups. You could go and assign permissions. The permissions are as granular as he could view this, he could download this, he could share this, he can edit this but not download, things like that. So you could just, but then if you provide filters for him to view the visualization, then you cannot restrict him to say he cannot use this filter, but then this filter. So if the filters are available on the visualization and he can view it, he can use the filters too. There's definitely a place wherein you can go and configure the permissions to the users.
What are the schedules for?
Schedule is to schedule and extract a periodical refresh of the data source that you're using. So right now I've scheduled one refresh here, and then that I'm using for this data source, which is just an extract. So this is Tableau Server, and then you could switch between sites, like so here. Default site is the one that Tableau Server on installation provides it, and this is something that I've created, and then projects within it. And then when you upload or publish a file, you could publish it to an appropriate site. You would log in on your Tableau desktop. You're logged into, I'm logged into the demo site. So if I want to switch site, I would go and then do that there. So when I upload my worksheet next, it would say which project in that site you would want it to be published to. And then you could manage your users here and then groups, schedules, of course, to refresh your data sources. And then you could, and then these refreshes, you could assign a priority to them. The bigger the priority, if two tasks are scheduled for the same time, then the one that has greater priority would run first. And then here you could manage your account settings, and you could switch, and then you could favorite your, so let me take you to the site here, content. And then these are my projects. And if the tags that I've mentioned before, say if you don't remember the title of the workbook, then if you just clicked on one of the tags that you've associated that particular workbook to, then it would just bring it up. And then you could favorite it, and you could just see just your favorites. Then clear the tag here. It would still get you that. And if you have no filters right there, it would bring up all the workbooks that you have on that project. And there is a command line utility feature to Tableau Server that you can use command line commands to either create users, create groups, delete them, create sites, organize your files. And these could be used when you have a script that you want to run on a periodical basis to load up users. If there's, say, 20 users, then you don't have to go manually sit there and type each and every user. So I could show that to you. Command. If I did that, it would give me the version that I'm using, and I could just go create a site. And then if I did that, this drop down, okay. I see that there, and I could just go and delete that too, using command line feature. That's deleted. So command line utility could be used. And then, of course, we've touched on the JavaScript API that would let you add visualizations and have interactivity outside of that visualization.
Quick question on that. The visualizations, are you able to parameterize them? Or, so if your outside application needs to provide some sort
right.
of input, there's some sort of parameterization mechanism?
Yeah.
How do you do that when you design your visualization? So
this filter right here is, to an extent, working like that, where it's providing a parameter that it wants only furniture sales to be displayed on that view. So this is one way of doing that, supplying an external parameter so that the visualization reacts to it.
Right.
And then there is another way where you can add a param. Okay, so let me get sales for, say, top 10 customers. So I'll just get customers too, and then let me not get maybe products. Oh, dude, that's too much data. So let me get segment. Segment is only. So there's these regions wherein I see sales. So I just want to see sales that are in the top 10 regions. So let me add region to filter. and then say I want to see just the top 10, where the top 10 regions that have the most sales. So I would just see them. But then if the user wants to say, no, I want to see the top 20, not top 10, then the way you do it is you would create a parameter, and then, or rather we could just do this, wherein we could go edit the filter and then say, I want to see this, but I'm not going to hard code that value. I'll just create a new parameter, and then I would call it top n, and I would say I want a min of 10 and a max of 20 assigned to it. And then I would go, okay, okay, and then that value is displayed here. So this is a parameter that you would supply. If you said, I want the top 13, then you would see that here.
And then through the JavaScript API, if you dynamically you can alter that.
Yes.
That parameter.
Right.
Okay.
And then that would be supplied to the server, and the server would modify the visualization and load it.
Is Tableau FedRAMP authorized?
Is Tableau what?
FedRAMP authorized?
FedRAMP?
Yeah.
I'm not familiar with that term.
Okay. Just like authorized to be used by federal agencies.
Maybe on the GSA schedule.
That's okay.
Okay.
Apart from visualization, does it have like reporting capabilities, generate reports? Like,
Yeah, you could do, say, I have this data now. What I could do is I could duplicate it as a crosstab. So I have this data. Now you could say this is region, and then that is sales, right? So you could also drag an order date in here, and then see that, okay, over the years, over these regions, these are the sales. Now, this would be a report, and then if it's live, then you would see the most current report.
Does it let you do dashboard combined visualization?
Yes. So, yeah, and the dashboard. So this is the dashboard where you would build whatever visualization, the final visualization that you're happy with and want to share it with. So you can drag, these sheets would all be displayed here, and then you can drag and drop them over here. And then just like these, if these are too many, the legends and the filters, then you can hide them. And then also, on the other hand, have them apply to all the worksheets that are there on this dashboard.
Can you go down from one to another one?
Yes. So if you, let me just remove that. So all three visualizations have changed. So that filter has been applied to all the visualizations that I'm using in this dashboard.
Click on one of the segments of the pie chart.
This one?
Is it possible to take one of those?
Uh-huh.
Is it possible to have that clip take me to another forward page that has more details on that segment?
Another page? No. Not from the, yeah. Yeah.
So what kind of reports, what kind of format of report, like PDF, Excel, what kind of reports?
So you could save this as an image. So not from here though. When you upload it to your server, there you could just get the image of it, or you could download it into a PDF and then send it across to whoever you want to.
Can you build multiple pages of dashboards? What's the pages part? There was a pages.
Yes, okay. So that pages is, so here is your view. But then if you want your view to, if your view spans many pages, then it will let you see that view in a continuous way. So, yeah, something like, what can I do here? So if I,
Is it possible to have one page per country?
so I brought in year into the pages pane, and then you would see that in year 2003, the view changes this way. In 2014, it changes this way.
Okay. So if this view changes to the table one, the normal table format for reporting,
right,
it will go to the next page. So
I'm not sure if you can, if the same thing translates to your crosstab. Yeah, it does.
Yeah, so it's, okay. So it's basically a table break on the year.
One question is, when you're connecting to a data source, and you are running visualizations, let's say from the server to a database, how's the performance versus like, let's say if you can get it like extracted and into the fast region, do you see major performance improvement?
So I worked with one table that had 1 million or so rows, and then it would take a couple seconds, more than a minute, to connect to it and bring in the data. But then if I was using an extract, it was almost instantaneous. So there's a big difference if you're using a live connection versus an extract.
So you extract all the data in memory?
Yes.
Okay, that means there is a ability to how much you can keep it in memory.
Right.
But if you use the database directly, scan through the database, you can span into multiple, large number of data sets, data records. But in memory, you exceed your memory limit, it's going to stop.
Oh, okay. Oh, I thought it was something like.
No, it's in memory. You extract into memory.
It takes a snapshot of that data. So it has a static copy of that data.
Static, but it's like in memory as in like, but when you say in memory, it's like your RAM. But like I was thinking more like, okay, you have your Oracle data source, so it extracted and stored it internally in its own format on the file system. And then now when you're querying, it's going against that file system because it has hashed it and indexed it internally.
Under the covers, I don't know what it's doing, but then it maintains a copy of it.
Copy, okay. So I probably would think, okay, that would be the improvement. You can have gigabits of GBs of data. And
again, it depends on the server requirements, how you've installed your server, how much RAM you've given it.
Yeah. Most likely, as you know, it would also depend on how many users you had coming in and doing that. Because you have 50 users, each has their own extract.
Yeah.
That's going to be a lot.
The memory slice between everyone.
Just from your perspective, like what are the competitors for this product, and why do people move to this? Because everybody already has a BI tool to bring low fees and key value propositions of what you have.
So one thing, you don't need any programming experience to use this tool. So it's simply drag and drop, and if you're in tune with your data, then you can do almost anything with this tool. And then with formatting and other stuff too, I've used a couple other tools. I mean, I can't remember the tools, but they're very difficult to learn. And then somebody who gets to this can jump right in and start playing with it and start building visualizations. But that's not the case with other tools, some of the other tools that I've used. So it takes there's a bit of learning curve. Tableau is considered the best.
So it's just a visualization tool, right? It doesn't do anything else.
I don't think so. But then you could use it as a BI tool to an extent.
And make the data ready. And that's what I'm saying.
Right.
So just a visualization.
Yeah, you could do some blending, some cleanup of data, and then you could do unions, some cleanup, but then not to the level of a BI tool.
Is there a trial version available for desktop?
Yes, that's what I have installed on my machine. So I have one that is that my project uses, but I do not want to open all that sensitive data to you guys. So I uninstalled that version and then installed the trial version.
So it needs a database, separate database, or it comes with a data source or something like that? So like, is it like MySQL or Postgres or something like that? Or?
There's no database that comes with the Tableau Desktop.
You provide your database connection.
Okay.
You have a database somewhere else.
And for server, is there a free version available? Like
yes.
So with limited capabilities of features, right?
Right.
And
public version. We call it as a public version.
So there's a Tableau server.
Your data is available for others. That's all
public data.
No, the server that I have right now installed on my machine is a local version.
Okay. But it is a trial version, right? Limited time
yes.
trial, right?
Yes.
And cloud, is a free trial available on cloud?
I don't know about that.
So one key thing. So if your source is a database, you're looking at physical name, right? Like DPT underscore CV, something like that. Very technical names.
Right.
So end user, reporting user, is not going to understand DPT code. He wants to understand department, English.
Right. You can in this here, you can even rename these column names. So if there's something, if there's an abbreviation, then you could just rename it in a meaningful way, and those would get carried over to your visualizations. And the underlying data is not changed.
And can you give more description to the field?
Yes.
Explain that will be the tooltip.
Tooltip would give you, you could edit the tooltip to display whatever you want, to say whatever you want. Say you are doing analysis on profit now, you could just, this label could be as descriptive as you want.
Yeah, okay, so this is for the graph, for the dash, for the analytics.
Right.
So, but for the order ID itself, if I want to explain in 10 sentences what order ID
Okay,
is for
let's
a user.
Describe. Oh, describe only tells you.
Metadata.
Yeah. I know you can rename it. I don't think you can attach a description or notes to it. That would.
So where I'm getting to is typically, traditionally, there used to be a business layer between a reporting and database layer. A business layer which used to define that I have these 10 tables, but they come together into my one business layer, where I have business names, a lot of English language, a lot of functionality. And when I pull this, automatically a lot of meta information is coming in.
Okay.
So that kind of a business layer.
Yeah.
Can it connect to anything other than like a NoSQL databases like MongoDB?
Yeah, I think you can do.
Like JSON file, XML file.
There is. Oh, there's MongoDB, but not MongoDB. So I've played with MySQL.
No, MySQL
SQL Server, yes, but I haven't played with any NoSQL databases.
How about the JSON and XML file?
There's JSON here. I haven't tested. There's JSON files here.
Click on them.
No. I haven't tried XML too.
How about Hadoop?
Hadoop, yes, I would think so. Spark SQL. Salesforce, yeah.
Spark would be on it.
Yeah. Yes. And then there is, by default, if you have data that's geographically related, then it would, Tableau would generate by default the latitude and longitude for it, and then it would identify it and then bring out the map. Then you drag and drop them onto the view pane.
Is there a map view also in the visualization?
Yes.
Visualization available?
So here is a sample of them, but you haven't said, okay, these are my data points that I want to view. So you could just say this. And then these are the ones that Tableau suggests you could use to build your visualization. Yeah, there's a map view there. So one way, so if you state, yeah, if there's zip code information, state, country names, then Tableau would immediately recognize that as geographical data, and then see it generated latitude and longitude.
How far down into the boundaries go? Would I be able to upload different boundaries into the map?
I think you could. You could generate your own latitude, longitude information, and then have Tableau consume it. And then I think Tableau is smart enough to plot that on the map. So if I just double-click state here, then it would generate the map here, and then you could see sales like so. And then you could filter it again and then you could have a gradient here for the color, and you could do.
Does it let you change the base maps? Or is it just the one that comes to you? If you don't know.
I don't know.
You'll be able to update, they will provide updates, to change it.
Can you create the analytic in the server itself? when you are in.
Okay, so there's a web authoring tool that the server provides, wherein you could do it. So in here, I could go, pick this view, and then I could say edit. And then from within the server, on a browser, I could go and do most of the stuff that I would on Tableau Desktop. So I could just say, apply to all worksheets like I did on Tableau. And then I could say, I could add details. Quantity onto the label. And then I see quantity right there. And then I could save this. Save as or save or revert. So Tableau provides a web authoring tool too. And then if you have a user set up with this permission, then when he opens the visualization, he can edit it and then upload it.
So no coding involved, so it will put developer out of Java or something.
No programming experience is required for this.
So architecturally, like is it like Angular or what front end?
I'm not sure what the visualization is.
Back end is like any server, Azure,
Yeah.
Linux.
So it's available for Mac and Windows.
And is it a hosted web app? Do you need to have a application server like Zip or?
Yeah, you can host it. And that's what I think.
You need to have your own Tableau server, and then have your application server interact with it.
The Tableau server is just a web app, right, or something like
What's that?
If Tableau server is like a physical box or
No.
just a web app on any server you can install it.
You can install it.
On your local
It comes with a
device,
web.
Tomcat or what?
It comes with a, it comes with a web server.
Web server, it's on web server. Yeah. In your local, what are you running as a server?
I don't have any server. I have Tableau server running, and then I have Tableau Desktop.
They're asking is Tableau server running on some Tomcat or some container, or is it just an application that you installed on?
It's just an application that I've installed.
Oh, it's a server host, it's a local host, AT&T going to a Tableau server.
Install, when you download, they will give you the web server and everything together. You install, you get everything.
Tableau
It's
server.
not like you create a server and then deploy your application.
Yeah, no
It
setup
is
is
all-
required.
Huh?
I mean, no need of any setting up.
Correct.
Minimum
Make it
setup.
easier.
Yep.
In the simplest configuration, you could do that, but when you want high availability, resiliency, and data center to data center exchange, then you do all yourself. Basic configuration, they will give a bundled version so that you can start easy. When you want enterprise version, you need to spend a lot of time figuring it out.
So that's all Tableau is about. Any more questions? Thank you. I did that.
You just click on the button.
Oh.
And you can